Well, hello, thank you for watching, and welcome to this series devoted to applying conservative exegesis to biblical texts relevant to the topic of hell. Since hell is an English word and not Hebrew or Greek, and since it may or may not correspond to a variety of different Hebrew and Greek words, and especially since theology is not done best at a mere word level, this study will focus on answering a broader question. Instead of just asking, which verses have the word hell in them and what do I think they mean, the question should be, what view emerges when one asks the question, what does the whole counsel of Scripture say about what happens to the unrepentant, unredeemed wicked? After all, if you think of it, if one of the main messages of Christianity is that Jesus saves, then we should know what he saves us from. Well, welcome to this series called Every Verse on Hell. I'd just like to address, why am I doing this? And is it a bad look? It looks stupid. Why do you have a channel on this? Don't you want people to come to know Jesus? Don't you want to be not weird or a weirdo, morbid fixation kind of guy? Look, I get it. I'm doing a lot of videos on hell. You might think that's weird. But here's why. I personally ask people to read the Bible. I'm a pastor. It's a good book to read, even if you're not a Christian. Like, read the Bible to see what Christians think about things, or at least what their texts say. But I encourage congregants and Christians to read the Bible, and I think that's a noble task. And personally, as a student, I might be a horrible student. I ask the dumbest questions, but sometimes that helps you learn, right? Asking real basic questions. So even back when I was at UT doing my undergrad, I remember asking questions of professors that just sounded dumb, but they were like, oh, I'm glad you asked that question. Other people are like, oh, I had that question too, I just didn't want to ask, that kind of a thing. So within the sphere of Christianity, I ask questions about hell from my seminary professors. I'm in a conservative seminary right now. I ask other pastors. I've asked by way of reading books, see what other pastors, what scholars think about the topic of hell. And I have to be honest with you, it's a topic that I'm interested in for a lot of personal reasons. I'm interested in it because I'm personally a Christian, and it's a part of the Christian tradition. It's in our holy sacred texts, so that's a reason. But also, part of it is that the pop evangelical version of hell doesn't make sense to me when I read the Bible. Like, I haven't read the Bible like 50,000 times, but I've read it multiple times. And sometimes I'm confused, and I think, wait, our version of hell doesn't always match up with, at least the pop theology version of hell doesn't match up with what I think. So then I ask my seminary professors questions, I ask other pastors questions, and I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? Does this make sense to you or that? So here's an example. In movies and in cartoons and in a popular level of theology, some people believe that Satan is in hell now, and it's like his kingdom, and he rules over this kingdom. It's like a rival kingdom. And that doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, first of all, we don't believe in a pantheon. Like, Satan's he's not a god over his own realm, and he rules hell, and go there and you're his subjects. And like in the eschaton, in the last day, like God's going to have his, I guess, considerably smaller in terms of population size rival kingdom, and then Satan's going to have his own kingdom. Like, what is this nonsense to me? There's no pantheon. There's one God, right? And so when you see the imagery in the book of Revelation about hell, like, the devil's thrown in there, like, against his will, I presume. He is a subject, a prisoner, not a also king, also ruler within this pantheon. But there's a lot of other things too as well. The popular quote from C.S. Lewis, "Hell's locked from the inside." So there's also this idea that people go there on purpose. It's not a retributive justice thing. Like, it's not like God punishes people. It's like you punish yourself and he lets you, and I guess that's your punishment. I'd say another one of those is where you almost get the impression that Christian belief on this subject is that God has made all people immortal. And in the eschaton, apparently, there's only two places, heaven and hell, and not everybody goes to heaven. So then God is a victim of technicality. Uh-oh. Well, I guess he has to put you in hell now. I didn't want to, but okay. And that's another one of those times where I just think, why are we telling people that? Why is God a victim of technicality? What technicalities? What rules are in the universe require God to do things? And isn't he the one who wrote those rules? So, like, what? I just feel like people don't like hell, and so they're lazy about it. And then congregants and other people, or people like me who are just really curious, are victims in that they don't really get a thorough explanation on stuff. They're just told, like, yeah, just believe right and then move on, okay? And I personally don't like that. I just personally don't like that, okay? Maybe that's my biggest motivation. I want to supply answers for those who are curious and provide for myself a video blog of my studies on this subject, because there are so many books and articles I've read on this subject that are just total garbage because the person making it, I guess, was asked to do it or was made to, and they put no time into it. What I'm doing is actually tons of research. So that's another one of my motivations. I'm a teacher. I'm supposed to be teaching the Bible in this evangelical tradition, and one of the things evangelicals, I guess, are often trying to do is they're trying to do Protestantism in a thoroughly Protestant way, and what does the Bible say about stuff? So it's like, okay, if that's the name of our game, then let's just actually do that, So, like, here's an example. In Mark chapter 9, Jesus talks about unquenchable fire. If I hear a sermon or a podcast or something online because I'm curious, or an article or a book, it's not actually that often or common for the author or whoever to say, like, hey, by the way, this is actually Old Testament language, and here's what it meant in the Old Testament context. And it's like, but that's one of the most basic things you can learn as far as studying the scriptures in an evangelical Protestant way. Like, here's how to teach in a conservative manner. That's like a basic level 1 kind of a thing. Well, why can't we do that? That's one of those topics where I think we're grossed out by it, you don't want to talk about it. So then people get lazy, or they just want to be done with it as soon as possible. I mean, that's why we don't preach about it or whatever. But then congregants who we're telling, like, hey, you should read the Bible, they come across these passages and they're like, well, what do I do with it? And then people like me are not much help. We're not helpful. We say, like, hey, read the Bible, and then you're going to come across tons of texts about what God says about the final end of the wicked, and I'm going to not really help you that much, but here's a quote from C.S. Lewis. Like that kind of a thing. I don't like that. And as a student, I want to go there. And if you're watching this series, then you're probably one of those people too, and that's fine. And if you're not, then I'm not even sure why you're watching this video. But YouTube seems like an appropriate place for that, because it's like you can engage or not based on your choice. And so here you are. Here we have found each other. And if this series is a help to you, then good. If it's not, then, hey, better luck next time for me. You can reach out to me. You can make a comment on these videos and I'll respond. I'm not famous by any stretch of the imagination, so, like, you can actually comment on my videos and I will actually respond. Yes, so this is my motivation. Yes, I'm aware that this can come across weird. I already know that. You don't have to tell me. And I know that this may come across as bad witness, like, oh, the world is watching and you're just obsessively doing hell videos. Whatever. I know. I'm doing hell videos. Maybe I'll do heaven videos. If that makes everybody feel better, I'll do that later. I'm not planning on it yet, but maybe one day. I want to feel comfortable with what I believe the Bible is saying, and I don't want to avoid conclusions because I just don't want to put in the time. Hey, thanks for watching. And if you do catch me making an error, or I forgot a text that you think is important, let me know. I would appreciate that. All right, thanks for watching.